All right, let's talk about a molecule that pretty much anyone who's ever been to a gym thinks they know, lactic acid. But what if I told you that its entire reputation as the bad guy of fitness is one of the biggest myths in exercise science? Let's get into it. You know that feeling, right? You're pushing through that last set, that final sprint, and your muscles are just on fire. It's that intense, searing sensation. And for decades, we've all pointed the finger at one single culprit, a buildup of so-called lactic acid. For years, this was the accepted story. Lactic acid was painted as this toxic waste product, a metabolic dead end that just gummed up the works, caused pain, and forced you to stop. I mean, this feeling is universal. It's the very sensation that made perfect sense to scientists and athletes alike, that something bad must be accumulating in our muscles, something we needed to flush out. In this quote, it just perfectly captures the myth. Lactic acid was seen as the enemy of performance, the molecule that single-handedly tanked our muscles and brought everything to a screeching halt. But, as we're about to find out, the real story is so much more interesting. So yeah, it turns out the science has moved on in a big way, and it's time we all get on the same page. Lactic acid is not the villain we thought it was. In fact, here's a twist. It's not even really lactic acid that's floating around in our bodies. Okay, so this all starts with a really key chemical distinction. Our blood stays at a pretty neutral pH, right? Well, because of that, the second lactic acid is formed, it instantly gives up a hydrogen ion. Think of it like dropping off a passenger. What's left behind is its much more helpful twin, called lactate. So when we're talking about what's actually in our blood during exercise, we're really talking about lactate. So if it's not lactate, what is causing that burn? Well, the real culprits are those hydrogen ions we just mentioned, the passengers that lactic acid drops off. That's what increases the acidity in your muscles, a state called acidosis, and that's what creates the burn. And that next day soreness? That has nothing to do with it. That's just inflammation and tiny micro tears in your muscle fibers from a tough workout. Lactate is totally cleared from your system within an hour or so. It's long gone by the time you're wincing down the stairs the next day. So how on earth did we get this so wrong for so long? Well, the myth really kicks into high gear back in the 1920s. A scientist, Dr. Otto Meyerhoff, was studying fatigued frog legs and saw they had high levels of lactate. He connected the two, but it was a wrong conclusion, a classic case of correlation not equaling causation. It actually took until the 1980s for a researcher named Dr. George Brooks to completely flip the script and reveal the truth. Okay, so if lactate isn't causing the burn, and it's not some useless waste product, then what exactly is it doing in our bodies when we're working out hard? Well, the answer completely changes how we think about energy. This is where the story gets really good, because far from being a villain, lactate is actually a hero molecule. It's a high-octane, incredibly versatile fuel source that your body relies on when the going gets tough. Just look at these numbers. When you're just sitting around, your blood lactate levels are super low. But during intense exercise, that concentration can skyrocket by more than 10 times. This isn't your body panicking. This is your body intentionally ramping up production of a critical fuel source. And get this fuel isn't just for the muscles you're working. Your heart, literally your most important muscle, can get up to 60% of its energy from lactate during a hard workout. And even more amazing, your brain actually prefers lactate as a fuel source for its neurons. This isn't waste. This is premium fuel being shuttled to your most vital organs. The whole system is just beautifully elegant. Your muscles crank out lactate, it hops into the bloodstream and travels to the liver, and then the liver recycles it back into glucose to be sent right back to the muscles for more energy. It is one of the body's most efficient and amazing recycling programs. So you see, lactate isn't a dead-end street for energy production at all. It's more like a dynamic energy roundabout or a high-speed interchange that keeps your entire system fueled and running when it needs it most. But believe it or not, the story doesn't end inside our bodies. This very same molecule has a surprisingly versatile life on the outside, playing a key role in our food, our health, and even in building a more sustainable future. Now, industrially, lactic acid isn't coming from sour milk. It's produced by fermenting carbohydrates from things like corn, sugar beets, and sugarcane. It's a totally bio-based chemical building block. And I can almost guarantee you've tasted its handiwork. That amazing tangy flavor in sourdough bread, that's lactic acid.
The fermentation that turns milk into yogurt and kefir, or cabbage into things like kimchi and sauerkraut? Yep, that's lactic acid too. It's a true star of the kitchen.
It's also a superstar in the skincare aisle. You've probably seen it on ingredient lists as an AHA or alpha hydroxy acid. It's a really gentle exfoliant that can improve skin texture, help fade dark spots, and soften fine lines. It's in everything from cleansers to high-end peels, for a good reason. And this might be its most important job of all. Lactic acid is a hero of green chemistry. It's the main building block for something called polylactic acid. You've probably seen it labeled as PLA. That's the biodegradable bioplastic used in everything from compostable coffee cups to filaments for 3D printers. And we are not talking about a niche product here. Way back in 2006, global production was already at a staggering 275,000 tons. And that demand has just kept climbing as we all look for more sustainable, bio-based materials. So, what a journey, huh? We've gone from busting a huge, decades-old myth about working out to revealing a true hero molecule, one that not only fuels our bodies at their peak, but is also a key ingredient in our daily lives and a building block for a greener world. The story of lactate is just such a powerful reminder that, in science, today's villain can absolutely become tomorrow's hero. It really makes you wonder, what other scientific truths that we take for granted are just waiting for their own story to be rewritten? What else might we have completely wrong?